Welcome back, guys. We recently finished all the class guides for Season of Discovery. However, Blizzard made a couple of changes on the PTR to the runes, and more of them probably to come, who knows. People complained about some of them and they made a couple of changes. Starting with the Druid, apparently Wild Growth is going to get a small buff in the amount of heal it does, and also the distance it got increased from 15 yards to 40 yards. Engraved Pants Skull Bash. Engrave your pants with a Skull Bash. Apparently Skull Bash is now going to share a cooldown with Feral Charge. I think this was supposed to be from the beginning here, but who knows, maybe it was an error in the design. Also in the Wild Growth, the mana cost changed from 23% of the base mana to 28% of the base mana. Moving on to the Hunter. The Hunter Engraved Chest Lone Wolf, and I know a couple of you had in mind a build of marksmanship probably with Lone Wolf. It's still a lot of damage, 15% overall damage. It's still like a huge rune. However, from 25 to 15, it's a nerf. So if you're looking to play a Hunter, these are not good news for you, but they're not that bad either. Engrave Your Pants Sniper Training. Your shot abilities gain 30% increased critical strike down to 10%. I always thought about this run that once you don't move for 6 seconds, you're going to get a 30% increased critical strike for one ability. But apparently it was for like a buff, like forever once you don't move. It's down to 10% from 30%, so Hunter got a bit of serious nerf here. Moving on to the Mage. Mage seems to be getting a buff. However, if you're not aware, some of the other changes, the regeneration were changed, the mana cost, and so after a series of nerfs, Mage gets a small buff. The cooldown of rewind time changed from 1 minute to 30 seconds, which I'm not entirely sure what this is going to do to the Mage, but I'm looking forward to test and see how the Mage is going to work. The classic rewind time Mage. Paladin, a couple of nerfs. I mean, it's not a nerf, it's more like a fix. The Beacon of Light used to have a 60-yard range, which can be a bit too overpowered, especially outside in the world and world PvP and stuff like that. So it went down from 60 yards to 40 yards. Crusader Strike cooldown changed from 4 seconds to 6 seconds. And I think this is normal. I think it wasn't supposed to be 4 seconds as a cooldown. It's a bit too OP. I think even in TBC, the cooldown is like 6 or 8 seconds. I don't remember exactly. 4 seconds is like the slowest weapon in Classic, so if you have a cooldown as the swing of the slowest weapon in Classic, it's a bit too much. Divine Sacrifice, Divine Sacrifice cannot be used while you are under the effect of Blessing of Protection, Divine Shield, or Divine Protection, and prevents you from being targeted by those abilities while it's active. So you can't use, if you use Disac, you can't use Shield. Interesting. Moving on to another nerf to the Paladins. Seal of Martyrdom. You lose more health. So it used to, you lose health equal to 2%, went to 10%. And I think when you unleash the seal's energy, causing 70% weapon damage at the cost of health equal to 10% of the damage inflicted. 10% of the damage inflicted, it's not that much. 2% was almost nothing, almost unnoticeable. I mean, you're gonna judge every 8 seconds for 10% of the damage inflicted. So if you judge for 500, you take 50 damage. It's not that much, considering you're gonna have like a lot of... It's more like a fix rather than a nerf right there. Oh my god, there are a lot of changes to the Paladin. Let's see. Hand of Reckoning, the rune. A type of fix. I don't see anything else here. 80% threat. 20% mana gained, amount healed. And 20% damage reduced under 35%. Okay, it seems to be the same. Going on to the Priest, probably we see some mana here. Some mana gain abilities. Circle of Healing gets a buff from 15 yards to 40 yards. I think they want to keep Priest, the main healer, still in Classic. And a buff from 57 to 100 heal to 162 to 180. The cost changed from 21% of base mana to 28% of base mana. Okay, and we also have the Engraved Chest Strength of Soul. Lesser heal, greater heal, flash heal, reduce the remaining duration of your weakened soul on targets by 4 seconds. So, in addition, your power word shield will gain rage from taking damage, despite the damage being absorbed. So, a lot of people were complaining that the classic way of playing a priest is not shielding the tank or the druid because they no longer take damage once they're tanking in dungeons. Blizzard made it in such a way that you will still gain rage while you're shielded. Interesting. But you have to have a rune for this. I'm not sure if it's a buff. Moving on to the rogue, the Saber Slash got the energy reduced from 55 to 45 energy. And all benefits from effects that trigger modify Sinister Strike. So basically, Saber Slash is gonna cost 40 after you spec in to improve Sinister Strike in combat. Saber Slash does 130% weapon damage and cause the target to bleed, stacking up to 3 times. Ooh. I think we might be trying a rogue, boys. Shaman, Shield Mastery. Apparently, with each time you block, you regenerate mana equal to 4%, was modified to 8% for Shamans. It might not be enough, 4%, especially at early levels. Shamans might have a bit of trouble with managing their mana, so they modified to give them more mana. I mean, it's only fair, because Paladins have 25% of the amount healed on them. So, we'll see. Those are still subject to adjustments. Shamanistic Rage received a huge buff, reduces all damage you take by 20% and regenerate mana every second for 15 seconds, which is equal to 15% of your attack power, 10% of your spell power. Your party members within 40 yards will also receive 10% of the mana you receive this way. So let's say if I have 500 attack power, let's say if I have 500 spell power at level 60, I use that 10% of my spell power is 50. So I get 50 every second for 15 seconds. That's 550 mana generated for me. And for my party members, it's 55 in total. Yeah, I think they could have done more here than 10%. Okay. Hey. Rockbiter was nerfed from 100% increased threat to 50%. I think 100 was a bit too much. And yeah, Shamanistic Rage will also give some mana to the party. It's not much, it's almost nothing. They probably should modify this. Who knows? We'll see how it works. Warlock. The same into the demon form. It seems like the increased threat to 100 was too much, and now we go to 50. 50% threat instead of a 100%. Keep in mind that there can be way more changes. There are 8 days to go until the launch. There can be way more changes. Also, a big nerf to warriors. It seems that consumed by rage talent, which used to grant 25% melee damage bonus for 12 seconds or for 12 swings after you exceed 80 rage, now deals 20%. A 5% damage nerf. Furious Thunder, which means Thunderclap increases the time between attacks by an additional 6% and can be used in any stance, now deals additional 50% increased threat. It's still not going to make it a desired threat talent to take though. I don't know what they're trying to do with Thunderclap. They're trying to make it cool. Maybe, who knows, we'll see. But I don't see warriors getting improved Thunderclap here. This is it, guys. There are 8 days left until the launch. It seems like a couple of classes got a small nerf. It's not something that big. They're just adjustments and so on. Let me know if one of your class was affected. And until next time, stay frosty. Bye-bye.